Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with two wonderful professionals, Dillop and Christel, and we are talking about sensory-friendly solutions and how it impacts dentistry and how it can impact other businesses. So if you'd like to hear more, let's get started. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be interviewing two wonderful St. Johners. We have, of course, Dillop, although he's new to St. John. He's doing his MBA here at UNB. And we also have Christel Seeberger, and I've been a patient of mine for many years, but she is an occupational therapist, and they have something very exciting that they brought to me very recently and wanted me to be a part of, and I really wanted to share that with all of you. I'm not going to give it away. I want Christel and Dillop to tell a little bit about what we're doing together in this project and why we think it's so important to dentistry and just as an awareness for the public in general. So I'll get you started. So there you go. So Christel, tell me a little bit about what you're doing.
Wonderful, Peggy. Thank you for having Dillip and I here today. So I'm an occupational therapist, and I founded a company called Sensory Friendly Solutions, and we do two things. We help people who have sensory sensitivity or experience sensory overload find the resources and the help that they need to live their daily lives. And then on the flip side, we help businesses and organizations become more sensory friendly.
Yep.
Yeah. So being a patient of yours, I noticed that intuitively you naturally adapt so many things in your dental practice to help people feel more comfortable.
Because we're all sensory, we're all go by our senses to some degree, so we have to be really aware of that. And
yeah,
it's in a dental office, it's almost worse because there's so much coming at a patient that I try to go above and beyond to make that, comfortable for them. And Dillop, so a little bit about you and then we'll get started.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for giving this opportunity to work on this project. And I am a dentist from India and currently doing my MBA at the University of New Brunswick. And through this project, we are working on to create a service or a solution to provide a better treatment option for both the patients who are with sensory sensitivities and the dentists who are treating them. Right. So it gives a better environment for both the patient as well as the dentist to have a better treatment environment at the end.
Right. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation for both the dentist as well as the patient.
So Dillop, you're doing your MBA, and Christel, you found Dillop to head up this or help you with this research project. How did that happen? Can I just get a quick little kind of idea of how you found Dillop or what happened there?
Yeah. So I was connected with the University of New Brunswick, the St. John campus here, and MBA students, as they're graduating, do a 9-week internship, and they look for placements with local area businesses. So I put out for a project to help Sensory Friendly Solutions. Dillop applied. He can speak about his experience, but when I saw that he was a dentist from India,
perfect.
And I knew that dentistry is such a sensory-rich experience, such a problem where sensory-friendly dentistry would be an incredible advantage to both patients and dentists.
Yes. He's like the perfect
Dillop was the choice for this project.
Yeah, so being a dentist, initially when I joined this MBA course, I was thinking that what BCP I'm going to do actually, because I'm a dentist and none of those are related to my field available in this city.
Yeah.
Then when Christel approached for a sensory-friendly dental project, I was so amazed, and I immediately applied to that, and I was a perfect fit for that actually. So
you are.
Yeah.
And he interviewed me, and that was great.
Yeah, yes.
And it's actually because of the interview you did with me that made me think we have to get this on the YouTube, because these are things that I naturally do. I don't even realize sometimes I'm doing a sensory friendly kind of experience for the patient, because I believe that all dentistry should be a sensory delight, let alone, a negative experience. So I want to go take the dental experience from not even from neutral or negative to actually above that, to a positive experience. You're going to tell us a little bit about the trends of how sensory people with sensory disabilities or issues are having with how that's rising. So what are you noticing in your research?
So when I did a literature search on this area, and I found that there is a considerable increase, there is a trend of increase in the rate of incidence of children diagnosed with developmental disabilities from 2008 to 2015. So that is almost a 1% increase in the rate of those.
Just over that short period, yeah.
Yeah, over the short period. So it's the right time for us to develop a solution because the population is increasing, and every dentist will in some way they will be seeing patients who are having sensitivity challenges.
Some dentists believe that they just don't accept patients, maybe possibly with those sensory issues, but what we all must realize or raise our awareness is that all patients have we're all on some sort of spectrum when it comes to what we feel comfortable with in an environment, right? So the sensory, I think we're all have patients. Maybe a patient has PTSD or maybe, but we don't know that. And so we have to be really ask a lot of questions and think about our patients as a human being who may need some sort of support from any of the senses.
As you said, we're all sensory beings, and coming to the dentist is a sensory-rich experience. You might think of your 5 senses: what you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you touch, what you smell. You actually have more than 5 senses. You have a sense of balance, you have a sense of movement, and you have a sense called interoception, and that's your internal body sense, and it tells you about your breathing and it tells you about your gut. So we'll talk more about how you naturally adapt your environment to be sensory friendly for your patients.
Okay.
So being a patient of yours, Peggy, I absolutely noticed that intuitively you adapt the experience across all of the senses.
Really? I don't even realize I do that.
You already do it because, at Sensory Friendly Solutions, our sort of motto is we want to help make people comfortable, right?
Yes.
And
so do I.
You want to go above and beyond that, right?
Yeah.
You want to make it actually delightful. So if we think about your sense of vision and what people are seeing at the dentist, you do things to accommodate that here.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to what they see when they come in, the first thing I want them to see is open space, a feeling of not being crowded, and open, lots of light if I can get rooms with lots of light, higher ceilings, and also we will turn off the lights. So even in this room today we have the lights off, but many times when a patient has worked a night shift, or a patient has a young patient with any light sensory issues, or just a patient who might be tired or whatever, there's enough light in here, we actually just turn off the overhead lights. Now that being said, our lights are they're designed to have a very soft effect. So, and then on top of that, of course, there's the overhead light that I put in the patient's mouth. And one thing I was telling Dillop earlier before we started filming is that, I had a patient this morning with autism, and I was very careful to tell her that the light was about to move towards her face. And I was very careful to slowly move it, and I told her, listen, if that bothers you, then I want you to close your eyes.
You also do a lot of adaptations for people and their sense of hearing and what they hear during their visit, the sounds.
I try. So with sound, we like to have the rooms to be a little bit more private. So some of my rooms have doors which can actually block out a lot of the noise. I also have noise canceling headphones for patients who want to just hear music or want to have noise cancellation. And I also will tell them about how long, if there is going to be a noise, I say, listen, this is only going to be about 2 minutes. So I kind of give them, helping them gauge, okay, I can get through it because it's only going to be 2 minutes. You have to manage patients' expectations and help them realize that it won't be for very long. So those are some of the things I do for sound.
Yeah. Let's talk about the adaptations you do for the sense of taste, what people are tasting.
For taste. Okay, so there's so many things we have to put in a patient's mouth. So we try to make things, of course, taste neutral, but often some children, especially children, are pretty sensitive to taste. Some of our products are try to mask taste, so they'll put in, we'll do like a flavored type thing. Other taste things is giving our patient's mouth like a lot of rinses in their mouth. So we are always asking, does that taste bad? Is that bothering you? If it does, we immediately give them nice rinses. So we're minimizing it. Of course, we have to expose them to these tastes, but we really do that often.
Excellent.
Yeah, even with respect to one of the patient has complained that dentists use a lot of cold water suddenly into the oral cavity.
Oh
So,
yes, no, our water is it's modified, like it's pretty much at room temperature because we use a bottled water,
Okay.
but we keep it cold, so that way it's not cold to their teeth.
So a next sense would be a sense of touch. Can you talk about what you're adapting for that?
So
But you're
touch
touching
is
a lot.
like I'll reassure them, but then also if I have to do something, then I'm going to prepare them. So I'm going to like talk about it. Like it's always tell, show, do. Again, for children, for anybody who's an adult, I'll explain to them how it might feel, and I'll also like do things that are different. So if something is like taking an X-ray, something that's really uncomfortable, then we may be able to do something different, like maybe to do a scan, and then we'll just do a bit more of a screening, which is a screening tool, which would be like NERI with the iTero. But then if we don't quite get the X-rays, at least we have something to go by to help educate the patients and their parents. But touch is, can you think of anything else that you've experienced for touch that I'm not thinking of?
And I love, Peggy, that you pointed out that you do tell, show, do. So if someone is sensitive to touch, right, letting them know that something is coming is in fact better than surprising them with that, right? And you do, I'll say, make people feel very comfortable in the chair.
Like a blanket or warm. We make sure they're comfortable.
Yeah, there's a pillow, there's a blanket.
She knows where her blankets are.
I know.
We actually have we have a nice pillow too. It's called My Pillow. Got to check that out. But we create, a comforting experience, a comforting, they feel like kind of more snug. And I think there's such a thing as a weighted blanket, is that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's that too. We have a weighted blanket here too.
And as Dillop will share.
Yes, some of the patients were asking for that actually. Also, like with respect to lead aprons, in some clinics, I think they are using even the lead aprons, which is heavy, and it gives some pressure to them. It seems.
So interesting, quick story. We retired one of our lead aprons, and we had our local seamstress actually build some liners for it. So we actually switch out and wash those, and then the lead. So it's a lead apron, but it's our weighted blanket. So it's a retired X-ray vest.
Yeah. Fantastic idea.
Yeah, repurposing, right? Yeah.
The next sense is the sense of smell.
Oh boy, now that one's huge. So the sense of smell, when I first built this clinic in 2015, I was very aware that smell was a big thing that people hated. They always, because it's actually one of the most powerful senses, right? If I know correctly. And that smell that triggers those bad feelings of going to the dentist as a child, if you're an adult, or even just currently. A lot of dental offices have some materials in them that actually create that smell, and it's a very powerful smell. And it's so I actually made sure I don't bring those materials into the clinic, so they've never been in here. It's like, no one's ever smoked in this building, no one's ever had these dental materials in here. So we make sure that certain materials have never entered the building. We also have great air circulation. We have surgically clean air. We have air purifiers that throughout the building, and we also have a very brand new filtration system. In addition to that, we have we were using it's a pure form of essential oils, and we were doing some essential oil, very, very mild and it's called Clean Air, and this one was by doTERRA, but it was just amazing. People were always saying, I can't believe I'm in a dental office. So it was made me happy, because I do go out of my way to try to make sure that the smell is not like a dental office.
So the next sense, Peggy, would be your sense of balance.
Sense of balance. Well, one of the things with that is, when a patient's sitting in the chair and you need to move them, lay them back, I'm very careful to always say, listen, I'm going to tip the chair back. So I actually just touch them gently, and I kind of make sure that they're okay, to let them know that they even heard me. And then I say, now I lay the chair back. And I lay it back very slowly. We also ask them if they have any back issues. We also have a lumbar support as well, to make them feel like they're supported while they're laying back. If they feel a little dizzy, we certainly bring the chair back up a little ways. So there's a lot of things we do as far as that. Is there anything else you can think of, or was that the one you were thinking of?
No, that's the number one accommodation you make, and so very important, because going back
slowly, and knowing that it's coming.
Because that can stimulate a reflexive, a really early reflexive reflexive response that's very threatening for people to feel.
Right, yes, exactly.
It's not only with respect to sensitivities and also with respect to patients with vertigo. They feel the same actually.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I have also listened to some of the dentists who are treating patients with vertigo, and they take special care about them as well. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. So it's good to ask, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
that's why
yeah.
going through the medical history and
Yeah.
taking some time to get to know your patient before you start too is really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next sense would be your sense of movement, and you might think, well, I'm at a dental, I'm lying in a chair, I'm not moving, but you're having to coordinate your mouth opening and closing, and sometimes sustain those postures for long periods
Right.
of time, which can be uncomfortable. So
Right, so one of the things we do with that is we tell the patient, first of all, listen, when Dr. Bound, or my assistant will say, when Dr. Bound's not in your mouth, you can close. So feel free to close. So we're giving them regular breaks and letting them know it's okay. But then they'll say, you know, when she asks you to open, just open wide for just a few minutes. And then I also give them a timeline as about how long I'll get them to open. So it's going to be about 2 minutes. You're just going to stretch really big for me. If that is an issue, or it's going to be a little bit longer, I will also have what's called a bite block. So it's a little rubber block, and it's actually a rest stop. And it's like resting your elbow on a counter when you're kind of tired and you're sitting at a desk. It gives the jaw something to close on. But yet, safely, I can comfortably feel like the patient isn't going to bite me or fall asleep, or even patients who are sedated, that it keeps their mouth open, but in a comfortable way, because it's rubber, so it has a bit of a cushion. So I think I've hardly ever had a patient not love it, like they really enjoy it, unless it does feel too much. We actually have different sizes. We have pediatric sizes and adult sizes.
So the last sense is that new sense I introduced, interoception. So let's talk specifically about breathing and just having to coordinate with people breathing.
Okay, so big thing with me is I'm always watching the patient out of the corner of my eye. I'm looking at their breathing. Often when I approach them or I'm start to talk to them, I will notice a change in their breathing. If I'm doing the anesthetic, that's typically when they'll start to breathe a little faster. And then I start talking to them. I'll talk in a low voice. I'll talk slowly. I will start to say, listen, you know, I need you to think about breathing through your nose. And then I'll say, as you do that, I want to see how slow you can breathe. So I kind of, again, it could be a child. I'll say it in a different voice than I would an adult. But I'll say, you know, let's breathe really slowly. And then if they're starting to respond to what I say, that's great, you're doing good. Keep that up. So I reassure them. So I'm like a coach, I'm like a breathing coach until I get through the procedure. And I might say things to distract them, but we become very quiet. We don't, like my assistant and I aren't gibber jab, you know, we're not talking, we're just focusing on the patient. They know that we're focusing on them. And then we're going to start to reassure them. My assistant is also always, and I haven't brought this up, but I have amazing assistants. And they're usually sitting there, they may be like holding the patient's hand. They may be, reassuring them as well, telling them that they're breathing better. And so I also tell them it's really important that I cannot continue until we get their breathing under control. So I won't just go right through and just continue on until we see the breathing is there. So breathing, yes, so that's one.
Yes, that's the eighth sense.
Is it?
We did them all.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it looks like we are covering a lot of that here. I'm happy to say, thank you.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm going to ask you guys a few more questions, but I want to say, I think all dentists, I think we're just not aware that this is a rising trend. So thank you for bringing that, and maybe this research is going to be groundbreaking, and we can bring more information to dentists and the public. But I think for me, the reason why I became a dentist is to change public perceptions of dentistry. And for me, by each time I have a patient who has a delightful experience, I'm impacting just very small that perception of dentistry. So that person might go out and say, you know, it isn't that bad and all that. So I think no matter if you have sensory issues or not, or where you are on the spectrum, I think if we all just sort of thought about that as how our patients feel when they walk through the door, think about what they see, think about what they hear, they smell, they experience, we're going to raise the bar, we're going to make dentistry a better profession. If all dentists did that, we wouldn't have to go looking so hard. So I think we should maybe just be more aware and try to think about all our patients in that way, so that patients will feel like they can come to the dentist and it won't be so bad, right? So yeah, so I want to know about your website. So you have developed a website, and she has some great articles on LinkedIn as well. So we'll leave it in the notes below, Christel's name and her LinkedIn address and everything. And I want to make sure that so people want to hear more, learn more about this. But tell me about the website.
Sure. So we're Sensory Friendly Solutions, and the website is sensoryfriendly.net. And we have information for people looking for sensory-friendly solutions, looking for those resources that help them in daily life, and also resources for many types of businesses and organizations, including dentistry, to help them become more sensory-friendly.
So they can go to that website and find the businesses that are kind of have that seal of approval that they, Okay, that's wonderful. I think that's great. And are you getting some feedback from that?
So first of all, I'll say, reiterate what you said, Peggy, in that it's so important to understand that sensory-friendly dentistry does actually help everyone.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It really does, and it's increasingly important, as Dillop noticed, because it's an issue it's a recognized issue for more and more of the population.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, thank you both. That was really nice that you would share that with me. And like I said, after that interview with Dillop, I thought, we gotta get this information to other people, and maybe other young dentists who are just starting who would like to know kind of what they can do to help as well. So I hope you found that helpful. If you would like to reach out to any of us, by all means, of course, we're going to be leaving the information to contact both Dillop and Christel in the comments below. If you have any comments yourself or questions, we would love to hear from you. And until next time, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.